Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, we are not in my home theater. We are in the garage of my new home that I've been in just over 2.5 months. The reason I have not posted in this video is a little bit delayed is because I was in Great Britain on a very fun trip with my girlfriend. Met her family and just did a bunch of touristy things, and it was extremely fun. So that's the reason that the video has not been posted, because I try to stick to giving you guys at least one video per month on the same day every month, which is usually the 6th. But we're back to it, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through the building of my new home theater screen frame. So this will be the third iteration of a DIY screen I have made since I've had my YouTube channel. The very first one you guys saw when the first series of videos that I did of building my home theater out and introducing myself and just my channel, it was a very simple, easy to do DIY wood screen frame made out of 1x3 or 1x4 inch pine boards, I think, and just some, basic metal fasteners, wood screws, and then finished off with a black spandex wrap, white spandex wrap for the screen, and then black felt on the border. And that worked out pretty dang well. It is a very good DIY first time home theater screen build, and it produces some really, really good results for all the materials. Anywhere between, I'd say, depending on where you source things, 80 to, I guess in today's inflation, I would say maybe 129 or more. But back when I first built it, I think I did it for just under 100, and it worked out quite well. I was pretty happy with it, but always wanted to improve. I ended up getting some screen material, which I didn't announce, and I need to do a review of it, which I will. But I bought some screen material, and I will post it on the screen here because I can't recall exactly what I got, but I feel like it was from Stewart Film Screen, I think. But I bought the material raw and cut it to the size I needed for a cinemascope screen. Most of my screens have been around 135 to 140 inches diagonal. What I was using and have had for the past year and a half or so, when I was in my second home theater in the duplex basement home theater, and I was going to do a second video on the second screen that I did, which you did see in the videos, but you didn't really see the build because the build was not good. I wouldn't recommend anyone building it, and that's why I didn't do a build series about it, because it just didn't work out the way I had intended. It was a combination hybrid screen of aluminum, angle iron, and wood, and the wood was attached to the angle iron aluminum screwed together, and then the wood was just for the purpose of having something to staple the screen material into. And then I covered that aluminum, which was on the face side, the outward side, with a black felt, which didn't stick well either. So it turned out horribly. I will link in the description below some of the videos where you can see this screen, and it was poor quality. So after moving into this new place, I realized that I didn't want to go the route that I went with that wood screen frame, and I didn't want to use obviously my old screen frame because it was horrible, and I scrapped it. I cut it into pieces and got rid of it because it was just so bad. So I scoured the internet, home theater, YouTube videos and DIY home theater forums, things like that, and came across a design that I like a lot, and I'm basically going to make my own version of. It's very similar to this one that I saw, but with a few differences that are going to suit my needs. So in this video, I'm going to take you through what my plans are and all the materials you will need if you want to build this exact same frame or any size of it, but with the same style. And the material I have chosen is far superior and will work good for my purposes. So let's get to it. So what I ended up choosing was 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/8 inch wall, which refers to the thickness, 61 aluminum square tube. This stuff is extremely rigid. It's almost a little overkill for my purposes. I could have gone with a slightly thinner wall and it probably would have worked, but it does not. I mean, I can't bend this. I can't flex this really. I'd have to put all my weight into trying to flex it a little. So it's going to work very, very good for my purposes. Like I said, it's a little overkill, but that's okay. I sourced this from a local aluminum supplier. And if you don't have a supplier, you know, close to you, then this plan may not be for you, because the lengths you will need for most screen sizes usually can't be transported in, you know, normal trucks. They have to ship these things freight, and the freight shipping will get you. I was going to do a similar sized screen out of T-slot aluminum, but I don't think that will suit my needs as well as this will, and that kind of overcomplicates things. I might do something with that in the future for a system I have for hanging my speakers, which I may or may not do, but this is going to be perfect for what I need it to do. And the aluminum cost me about $129, and they even did the cuts for me. Originally, I was just gonna have to cut it myself, but they did the cuts for me. So about $129 after tax, picked it up. So we're going to get this thing assembled. So these are some of the materials you will need to do this, or at least will make it easier. Some of these things you don't necessarily have to have, but these are going to make it way faster. I happen to have a lot of this stuff on hand because woodworking is one of my hobbies, if you're familiar with this channel. So, got a drill, got a driver, that's what you're gonna need. Safety glasses, of course. Picked up some L brackets. These are the main L brackets that are going to attach the long parts to the taller parts, the bars, if you will. So we got 4 of those. I got some T's because there's gonna be bars in between the frame, 2 bars in between the frame to stabilize it. And then I got L brackets. For this, you'll need about 12. I happen to have 10 here. 12 would be better, but 10 is going to be fine. And you'll see what I mean by having 12 or 10. It doesn't really make a huge difference, but it's more about the rigidity of it. If I need more, I can just go get more later. I just didn't want to go to the store after I had already bought 4 more thinking I had enough. Then you'll need self-tapping screws, zinc screws. These ones are 3/4 inch long, which you may think that they are too long, but after having to pass through the thickness of a bracket and the wall of this, it's perfect size, because a 1/2 inch would have been really short and half of it's not even being used because it's a self-tapping feature. So 3/4 inch is what I would recommend. It's like $6. And then I suppose if you didn't already have these brackets, I had these brackets on hand from my other screen builds, but all in all, this is probably about $15 to $25 worth of brackets, depending upon where you source it. I need a tape measure, but since my lengths of aluminum are already cut, I don't need this today. You'll need some squares, which will help you keep everything square, and a permanent marker. I did a test, and even though, obviously self-tapping, it still kind of is a pain in the butt to drive these things in. So I'm going to pre-drill the hole, which did make it a lot easier because I just don't want to spend all that extra time pressing down on this to get it to go in. So I'm going to pre-drill the holes, and this is a 7/64 drill bit. So pre-drilling and pre-marking all the holes. Once that's done, I'm gonna screw it all together. Then this will be painted black, a flat black. Once that dries, the face side of the screen will be getting Velcro sticky tape, and then the other side of my screen material will be getting the other side of that, and that's how I'm gonna detach it. all in all, once it's done, I think it's going to look very good. It's going to be a lot more rigid than the 2 iterations of screens I have made before. And this will be a nice permanent screen solution that could be easily dismantled and won't get damaged in transport, because the wood is pretty easy to bend or break. And over time, the wood can warp. So that's another reason I didn't want to go with that first method. And surprisingly, I know what some of you may or may not be saying is, why not just buy a screen? Well, most of the screens I saw that come with those fixed aluminum screens that you put together, they run anywhere between $500 on the low end all the way up to, you know, several thousands of dollars if you'd like. And I just didn't want to, at this time, spend that much money, especially when I'm trying to save up for other things, you know, like a house and a new car, which I really do need. So I'm always trying to DIY things to save money, and I love doing that too. So in the future, I do hope to buy a fixed screen with, you know, the extruded aluminum that can clamp or stretch various materials. And I couldn't even find the extruded aluminum material frame from anyone. Everyone I've sourced, at least as far as people who make home theater screens, they don't sell the frames by themselves without the screens. I already have screen material, so again, I'm not gonna spend $500 to $1,000 on a new screen when I already have the screen material. So let's get started. Okay, quick remark before we get into the rest of this video. Make sure, even if they say they're going to cut it for you at a certain length, make sure you always double check. I was about ready to start screwing this thing together, and turns out some of the cuts were off. So I had to recut everything, make it ever so slightly smaller. In terms of its diagonal length, it's only going to be like 1 inch or 2 smaller, so it's not a big deal at all. But if you get some aluminum or any material from anywhere and they say they're going to pre-cut it for you, make sure you measure. So I measured everything, remarked it, cut it. You can, by the way, cut aluminum with a standard carbide tipped blade. It'll handle it just fine. These carbide teeth are way harder than the aluminum, and if you go slow, you're not going to damage the teeth. None of these are damaged at all. They got some wood grime on them, but they are perfectly fine. So just go slow, take your time, double check, triple check your cut lengths, and then get to screwing things together. So we're gonna be working outside because I don't have enough room in my very, very messy shop. Out here, the plan is to get everything square, mark the holes for the brackets, screw the holes for the brackets, put it together, paint it black, and then we will take it inside, we'll dismantle it, take it inside, reattach it, we will put it back together, and then we will attach the 1-inch thick Velcro, which has got sticky on one side. And then we will attach that to the screen, and then boom, we'll have a brand new screen. So the rest of this video will be time-lapse until it is done. All right, guys, there it is. It's all assembled. There's just a couple brackets that I was missing. I thought I had 4 of these T brackets. I'm missing one, can't find it, so I just gotta go pick up one more. I'll install that later. And then there's 6 of these right angle brackets, a very specific type that I'm looking to get, that I'm gonna put right here, there, down in the bottom, up top there, and right there. So basically every single one of these is going to get one of those specific types of brackets, and I'll show that in the video later. And then I got these standard L brackets like this placed on each of these supporting center brackets right here, and then as well as at least one for each of these side pieces. But yeah, there it is, and it's a lot more rigid and much more well built than any other home theater DIY screen I've ever made, so I already can tell that I'm gonna really like this design a lot. So the next part of the process is we are going to prep this for paint, because it's going to get a flat black paint to not only reduce any type of oxidation or discoloring that might occur to it over time, but also to minimize any types of reflections that might come through when I attach the acoustically transparent screen to it. I don't want to see any type of shining, reflections back from this through the perforations. I don't think I would, but just in case, I'm still gonna paint it flat black. So in order to prep this properly for paint, for it to adhere, you can't just spray paint it. It's got a very smooth finish to it. Even if you cleaned it with alcohol or any other number of different types of cleaning agents, the paint is not going to adhere. So if you have this type of aluminum or most metals, you do need to do some sanding. So we're going to sand this with a 180 or 220 grit sandpaper. It's aluminum, so it's pretty soft. You don't need to go quite as rough as you would if you had made something like this out of steel. So we're gonna sand that, get all the sides prepped, and then once it is sanded, it will be cleaned with IPA, rubbing alcohol. And then after that, we will apply some self-etching primer, which I will show when we get to that step. And then, actually, you know what? I have it right here. Probably gotta go buy more, but this is what I'm gonna be using. And this is good for steel, aluminum, lots of metals. So self-etching primer, and then about 2 or 3, maybe 4 coats, depending. But we'll spray that on there, and then we'll get the flat black on there. And then I just placed the order for the 1-inch thick, 80 feet of black Velcro sticky on one side to adhere to this side. This is the screen side. The back with the hardware here is the back side. So this is the screen side right here. So that's where the Velcro is going to go, right here. So yeah, we're gonna go into the time lapse and get this sanded. Okay, so this is the finished product after sanding. Kind of hard to tell from this distance, but it's definitely not shiny anymore. And if you look up close, you'll see it's got a brush kind of sanded appearance. So just for reference, this is an offcut because I had to cut it a little bit shorter. So that's what it looks like before sanding. That's what it looks like after. And if you're not familiar with how to paint aluminum or steel, you definitely need it to be a little rough, and you need to be clean in order for the paint to adhere. Yes, this is a home theater screen frame, and it's not going to take too much wear and tear in being beat up, and it's only going to be disassembled for when I move. But I still wanted to have a nice finish on it, so sanded it, went with the 220 grit sandpaper. I had to change out the disc about 3 times. And just kind of go slowly. You'll be able to see it, especially if you're got really, really good light, you'll be able to see it change from this shiny to this kind of brushed look. So I got all 4 sides done, and that only took about 45 minutes. And I'm working inside because it's nighttime and it's pretty cold outside. It's about 35 degrees here in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm in my shop, but definitely wear safety glasses when you're doing this. Wear ear protection because the sanding disc is just loud and annoying. And more than anything, I can't stress this enough, wear some type of mask. I have a respirator right here, or wear like an N95 mask, but you don't want those metal shavings, which are so small, you know, floating in the air, and you just breathing them right in, especially when you're so close. So definitely wear a mask, protect your lungs. You don't want those chemicals in your lungs, cancer causing. And this is an idea of what's left over on the gloves. So also wear gloves because you don't want your oily skin residue to leave prints on there. You want the surface pristine. Yes, I'm going to clean it, but again, you still don't want to be touching it. So I wore gloves. That's what they look like after. That's what they would look like clean. If you can't work outside and you have to work inside like I do because it's cold, definitely wear the mask. Even if you were outside, I would recommend wearing the mask. But I also happen to have this homemade air filtration box fan, which is just a simple box fan with a MERV 13 filter. So that was running the entire time too. Just some precaution. So now we are going to get it cleaned up with IPA rubbing alcohol. And then once that's done, I will take you through the process of painting it with the self-etching primer. After the self-etching primer, we will move on to the flat black spray paint. All right, Velcro is on and it works extremely good as far as the adhesive is concerned. It's very, very tacky. I was a little bit worried that it wouldn't stick to this, but once it's on there, it almost doesn't want to come off. So very happy with this purchase. Link will be down in the description for the exact Velcro I got. So next step is to dismantle it, take it upstairs, put the fabric side of the Velcro onto the screen material, and then get it mounted. I don't think I'm going to need any of it in the middle part. I think I'll be able to get enough tension on it to not need that. So maybe I'll end up painting this, but yeah, it turned out very good. So let's get up to the theater and get this reassembled. Okay guys, so we're back in the theater right now and we are going to get this frame reassembled and then we are going to mount it on the wall. I did make these custom mounts out of some scrap wood. It's pretty simple, just a piece of wood with 2 holes to mount to the studs, and then the frame is just going to rest on it. And because this thing probably weighs less than 10 pounds, it didn't have to be substantially beefy, but that's pretty solid. So we're gonna get the frame built. We're gonna stick the Velcro to the screen material, and then we're gonna hang it. So let's jump right into the time lapse. Okay, we are on the home stretch. The Velcro has been attached to the backside of the screen material. These lines and creases you see are due to it being rolled up and stored for nearly 4 months, so I'm sure that will go away. Maybe I just need to apply some light heat to it with a iron steam setting, like just a couple inches away. And even maybe leaving it overnight like this will make it go away, but I'm sure this will go away. I'm not too worried about that. Some of the imperfections you see right here are from the way I attached it to the old frame I made for it. The second version I made for my home theater, which I did not bother to show a build video of because it was just a horrible design. It's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So I'm very happy with this so far. I think it's going to work exactly how I want it to look. So the only thing left to do now is to mount it. So this cinemascope screen is 54 inches tall. So half of 54 is 27. So I'm going to put a mark of 27 inches. And then I'm going to get a mark on the wall for where my eye line is when I'm sat down in these chairs, which, yes, the theater is a mess right now, but when I'm sitting down, my eyesight is approximately at 47 inches. So I'm going to mark 47 there, mark the half point on here, and that's where I'm going to mount this so that the middle of the screen is right in line with my eyes, which is what you want for your home theater projector screen or TV. So let's go ahead and mount it right now. Okay, so there we go. It's all done. The screen is finally mounted. It looks really good. Just got to wait for those little creases and fold marks to come out because, like I said, it was resting in a weird kind of shape for about 3 months. So I know that it'll come out. Might have to get a blow dryer or something, apply a little bit of heat carefully, but I'm not too worried about that. I know that'll come out. It's a vinyl type material. And yeah, it looks really good. I'm very happy with how it turned out. The mounting system worked exactly like I had planned and hoped it would. And just to get another look as to what it looks like, just a very simple little mount that I made out of scrap wood. Just secured it to the studs and it's just resting on there. So I think one thing I am going to do though is, even though I'm not worried about it moving, even with my 12-inch subwoofer going, I do want to just be extra careful and get a rubber or some type of, you know, some type of material on here that I can stick to this that will make it more difficult for this to slide, even though I have to put a decent amount of force to get it to move, so I'm not necessarily worried about it, and I'm sure it can do without it. But I think for just peace of mind, I will get some type of membrane material to go up here that'll hold it better against the aluminum. But even then, it's not really easy to slide this, so I'm very happy with how this turned out. And again, it's just something that I made out of scrap wood that I have lying around. And as far as getting it at eye level, it's exactly where I needed it to be. So this is the mark of the center of the screen, and this is the mark of my eyesight or my eye line when I'm sitting on my couches over here. So it's perfect. It worked exactly as I had hoped. So the only thing left to do that I'm not going to record because I haven't bought it yet, I'm going to get some 1-inch black felt material that's got some stickiness to it and put a 1-inch black felt border, because when this screen material is mounted to my old frame, it was done so with staples, so we still have some damage here. So I'm just going to cover that up with 1-inch black velvet, which will be perfect. So it'll give the screen a little bit of a border. And so that's all there is left to do. So until next time, if you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Please feel free to leave a comment. I would love that. I love reading them, seeing your suggestions and answering your questions. And if you have not done so, please take the time to hit the subscribe button. I would very much appreciate that. I'm trying to reach my goal of 5,000 subscribers. So if you guys could help me do that, we got over 90% of people who watch these videos are not subscribed, and it's free. So if you guys could do that, it would really help me out. It would really help the algorithm push these videos so more people like you who are new to home theater and are veterans to home theater could be exposed to this channel. Because this new algorithm we have in 2024, it's awful. I know you guys are probably tired of me mentioning it and other YouTubers, but it really does make the world of difference. So please hit that subscribe button for me. Help me reach that 5,000 subscriber mark. And until next time, thanks for watching and happy listening. Goodbye.